Good morning, this is Russell Edgar, Avion Overlander. We're getting ready to leave the campground to go over to Anne of Green Gables fame. There's a location and a bunch of stuff over there. However, Lynn has found a trail that we might not be able to ignore or bypass. So I changed the bike rack from the trailer to the truck. We got bikes loaded. Walk down here. Got my helmet, got my kit, got my bike clothes. Lynn's is over there. So we'll be able to ride if we want to. This picture looked like it'd be worth looking at. We just made a turn. Big farm, dairy farm here looks like. To our left, big
in 500 meters,
barns.
Turn left onto Raddenborough Road, Prince Edward Island 254 North.
You can see how
Signs for
beautiful
North
it
Granville
looks
Stanley Bridge.
down in front of us. Big hayfield to my left is
Take the
beautiful
next left
hay.
onto Raddenborough Road, Prince Edward Island.
Take a picture. Big bunch of Holsteins laying down there on the edge of the valley. You can see they make serious hay here for this farm. Dropped off of a big high hill, and you can't see it as well as I can, but we're looking at saltwater again. Well, I didn't have the camera on, but the sign says, it's right behind me just a few feet, Green Gables are straight ahead. We're in a town called Cavendish. Turning into the Green Gables parking lot.
You have arrived.
Well, that's a rig and a half.
That's a rig and a half.
Park beside him. Got an outdoor shower there.
Yep.
That's a handmade rig. Don't know what we're gonna find, but we're at the Green Gables Visitor Center. There's an entry fee if you come unprepared. We bought a year's pass for Parks Canada, and thus we were free to get in here and most other places. I'll copy these for you and you can stop and read them. This is at the center, telling everything that, actually it's got immense amount of information about her. Sorry about the shadow, but that's the way it is. We're just leaving the center, government center, and we're going towards the actual house. You can see there's a trillion tourists just like us.
Oh, I think she's up there.
gardens around the house are impeccably maintained by somebody. Lynn and I are hollyhock people, and they're just wonderful here. This is the house. Lynn just walked through the door. I'm going to follow her. But yes, it does have Green Gables. Doing a walking tour of the house. This would have been their living room. I'm not sure they were rich enough to have a musical instrument, but at least there's one here. Dining room. We're talking 1900 or so. A bedroom in the house.
To me, like they were pretty wealthy.
Yeah, they were wealthy. This is an expensive house, expensive stuff.
Pantry.
Lovely pantry. I mean, really lovely pantry. A second pantry?
Second pantry.
A second pantry. They were rich. And then a huge kitchen. Very fancy wood stove with a big water reservoir on top, I believe. I can't get to the other side to see.
Blue, number 2, made in 1876 in New Brunswick. So it's full cast iron, and you might notice at the start it's really low to the ground. That way it allows heat to move up through the room instead of just staying at the top. So another reason why the door frames are so small, to allow heat to stay in the room longer. Yeah.
Is this an oven?
It's a smoker. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this is actually your smoker here for some meats, cheese, fish, seafood products, stuff like that. And what they do is they add a ceramic insert and allow smoke to go around, but food and heat to still go inside. Turns it into an oven, right? Perfect for your breads, doughs, cakes, pies. That way your blueberry muffins in the morning don't taste like smoked meat. Yeah,
It's all right if I take your picture on this?
absolutely, I have no problem with it at all.
There's the young man telling us all the things we need to know. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem at all. So, one of the things you might notice, you can't tell from looking at it, but it's
Nothing to do with this, but
yeah, this device here, this is
where we were in Missouri, this is the way chimneys were made. They did not go to the ground, they were suspended. Done the downstairs, now we're going to go upstairs. In the downstairs foyer or entrance, we've got a fancy piece to hang up your stuff when you come in. And put your umbrella in the stairs. Up the stairs of the Green Gables house. It could not have been very tall, because if you see, you have to be very careful not to smash your head into that sucker. Stairs bedroom. Upstairs sewing room. Another upstairs bedroom. Upstairs bedroom. House was constructed. There were 2 spaces just for storage. Swing around. This was just dead space, really. Another bedroom.
This would probably been for help.
Pardon?
This was probably for hired help because it attaches directly to the kitchen.
There are 2 rooms that they did not show us that are locked. So this house is huge. This is a stairwell going down. Lynn thinks it probably was for a person, a maid or a cook or something. to come down and come to the kitchen since they would be close. We're on the back side of the kitchen.
Built in stages.
Exactly, yeah. And in the 1870s, they did a multi-year renovation where they added that whole half of the house as well as almost all of the upstairs. Yes. Yeah, so it's an advantage of being one of the first settlers here on the island.
Okay.
Or at least in the Cavendish area.
Okay,
Yeah.
and the two small spaces that are next to the bedrooms?
Exactly,
they're
with
just-
no doors. So here's the thing. You were taxed back then based off of how many rooms you had and how many doors. So if they turned those into official closets, they would be taxed more. So instead, no door, just skinny hallways used for storage space. So much cheaper.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
New Orleans, their houses are this way because they were taxed by the width. And it's
Yeah.
I love it. Always a way around it.
So I
Absolutely.
talked with a young man in there and got the history of this. The original house would have been what I'm showing you right now. But they owned a lot of land, 400 plus acres, covered with timber, and life became really good for them. And they were rich. So they built this portion of the house that I'm showing you now, and it's attached to the old portion of the house, obviously. But when you do stuff like that, things don't always work out the way you want them to. Thus the reason for the 2 dead rooms upstairs.
According to how many rooms you had.
Oh, okay.
If you had a door on it, that constituted a room.
Oh.
But if you had just a space with no door on it,
It was not a room.
it was not a room, and therefore your taxes were much less.
I hope that makes sense to you people that are listening to Lynn say that. This, I'm inside the barn. I don't think it's original, but it is very similar to what they would have had. Those beams are clean. And I know I've been in lots of barns and I've never seen beams that clean. But the design is what they would have done. Locked up, faced with wood so you can't get in there, so you don't know what's there. But here's something that Lynn was here's Lynn. She's very intrigued with people who think turnips are a real wonderful thing. And here, evidently, they fed turnips to the livestock. And they ate them themselves. They kept well. Put them in a root cellar, fed them to your livestock. They were a wonderful thing. I've come into a little place that sells stuff here. Coffee and other things, pastries, and maybe even salads or something. But anyway, Lynn's down there getting us some stuff. A thing called a beaver tail, which is a fancy pastry. But this is what was interesting to me, since we're really into solar, and I don't understand it. There's tons of solar panels on roofs up here in Prince Edward Island. You would think this would not be a good sun place, but it must be a really good one. All right, this is a beaver tail. It is called a triple trip. And there's Lynn's beaver tail.
Classic.
And it is just the traditional. And then our cup of coffee we're going to share. We're taking a walk from the Green Gables house. Actually, I don't know where we're going, but I think Lynn does, and I'll follow. The Centure Haunted Woods Trail. Trail leads us through the haunted woods until we get to the haunted golf course. This is just tickles my fancy. Come around and show you another green. Has nothing to do with Anne of Green Gables other than tourists. The haunted wood was really a harmless, pretty spruce grove. Listen carefully though. In the wind, these spruces groan and creak with the voices of imagined ghosts. after imagining spooks into her haunted wood. Anne said she would be contented with the commonplaces from now on. I'll bring this up as good reading. This is a picture of her grandmother, I believe. Is that right, Lynn? But this was
I think so.
she saw her picture, her grandmother did, in the glass of the china cabinet, and she invented a person and gave her a name and kept that reflection in her brain forever. This is an 1895 legend and picture. It seems to be the actual school that she attended. I don't think she's in that group because she wasn't old enough for that, but just a simplistic schoolhouse out in the middle of nowhere. This is we've gone to go over to the L.M. Montgomery literacy tour. Gonna scan it so you can see it at home, what we're up to. But this is the most intriguing thing to me. The number of foreign languages that this has been translated into. It's worth reading, actually. I'll get it so you can read it at your leisure. It tells about the family, but it's interesting. They all came from, the originals came from Scotland, even brought their cattle and sheep and everything. But in the end, they had controlled, the whole extended family, control of about 1,300 acres of good ground right on the ocean. We walked quite a ways up from the Green Gables house to her real house that she lived in when she was an adult. They've got a bookstore here, and this is the ultimate bookstore, trinkets, things like that. We just walked in the trail from where her actual house was, not the Green Gables house, but her house. It is really actually not there anymore, just the foundation and the actual kitchen, which was a post office. I think I'm going to end today. It's been a good day. It's 3 o'clock-ish, somewhere in there. We're thinking of going and getting something to eat. We haven't anything but one of those beaver tails, and let me tell you, they do not keep you going. If you would, please subscribe to our channel. We'd really appreciate it. Be safe out there, and I hope you are as lucky as Lynn and I are.